Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us for the 2 days of the summit. I wanted to wrap up by sharing just a little bit of information on how to identify, address, and prevent medical trauma. Just one more way for you to see the body of work that we've produced for the summit and for you to be able to see if you would like to work with us and just some further education on whether or not you need to rehab your life. So, let's go over the definition of medical trauma. This is a long definition, so I'm just going to kind of summarize it. Basically, it is trauma that is a result of different medical procedures, continual illnesses and hospital stays that have had lasting effects. You just can't seem to get over what you have experienced because you may have some PTSD, some anxiety, some depression, and other somatic symptoms which are unexplainable. It may have impacted you physically, mentally, spiritually. It may have impacted you on your job. And you might need to look for some counseling, for some ongoing support so that you can grow and heal past it. So that's the basic definition of medical trauma. So, how do you know if you have experienced medical trauma? Many people have experienced it, but don't have the language for what they have experienced. Oftentimes, when you have a major medical diagnosis like cancer, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, or something that's really going to impact your day to day activities in life, that's a possibility that you may have experienced medical trauma. When they gave you the diagnosis, they put you through a series of blood work. If you had a fear of needles, that's definitely impacting you. When you go for your appointments, if they can't find the veins because you're dehydrated, they're poking and they're prodding. And it's just trauma experienced from them doing their diagnostics. Different machines that you had to participate in to be able to do the diagnostics or further treatment or testing. The CT scans are really loud. They're putting you inside a machine. For some people that are claustrophobic, that is an issue. If they have to, insert contrast into your veins, the contrast is it's warm. It feels like it's burning sometimes. It makes you tingle throughout your whole body. Sometimes it makes you feel like you have to use the restroom. It's just extremely invasive. That can make you feel like you have experienced medical trauma. Again, the MRI machines and the different ultrasounds that they have to use. Some of the ultrasounds are internal and there might be pressure and just feeling uncomfortable with how they're positioning you. So all of those things are indications that you may have experienced medical trauma. And so because of your condition that you have had to go through, you might be feeling some depression, some anxiety. You may have some issues on the job now that you have this diagnosis and the side effects of the diagnosis. You can't do some of the things that you used to do, and you may not want to tell your supervisor. You may be feeling like, who am I now with these side effects? How am I going to adjust my life to deal with these side effects? It may have even caused a spiritual crisis for you. So I kind of liken it to any issue that you may be having on the other side of this diagnosis now that makes you just not feel like yourself. So let's get into the weeds of it. Do you have any of these physical reactions? Are you fatigued and tired all the time? Are you having issues with sleeping? Has your appetite changed? Either you're eating too much or you're not eating enough. Do you just have these weird headaches? Is your stomach upset? Is it when you're getting ready to go to the doctor, you start to get, the little butterflies in your stomach, or your stomach is queasy? Has it impacted you sexually? Do you not feel confident enough with these side effects to continue to have a normal, healthy sex life? Are you always tense? up here in your shoulder area, just chronic muscle tension. Those are some of the physical reactions that you may be having to having experienced medical trauma. There's also some emotional reactions. You may just feel overwhelmed more easily than you did before. Feelings of helplessness or inadequacy. You may feel like you're always vulnerable, always exposed. You may be experiencing increased mood swings where you just don't know where they're coming from. You may have even once upon a time experienced some suicidal or violent thoughts or urges that were just really random, like, I don't want to go through this. What if I just end it? And then you go, wait a minute, where did that come from? There's all kinds of just emotional reactions that you might have. You might cry more easily or frequently. I know when I was going through treatment, I don't know if it was from the hormones or what, but I would see like the little commercials with the dogs, and they were trying to get you to donate to the dogs. And of course, it was meant to spark an emotion, but I would just be crying and I did not know where that was coming from. And then also, I had a bit of irritability. I had so many things going on, and I was just irritable all the time. So those are some emotional reactions that you may be experiencing. Behavioral reactions are a little harder to identify unless it's just blatant. And so if someone has just isolated themselves or totally withdrawn, that's definitely a behavioral reaction you can identify. But there are times when we do it to ourselves and we don't really realize that that's what we're doing. Also, feeling restless, always got to be on the go, just got to keep moving. And these are, different behavioral reactions that you can see in yourself, but also in others. Maybe changes in alcohol or drug consumption. I have a glass of wine or two every now and again, but now I'm drinking the bottle. Well, that's because I'm trying to cover some emotions or feelings that I'm having that I don't want to have. And then changes in relationships with others, personally or professionally. And, this is one where, like I said, you can see it in yourself or you can see it in others where they just can't handle your diagnosis. I actually lost a good girlfriend because she just didn't believe or couldn't handle my diagnosis. And so those are some different things that you can see in yourself, but also in others when dealing with medical trauma or a medical diagnosis. Cognitive reactions. First and foremost, let me tell you, chemo fog is real. I have experienced it. I continue to experience it, even though I haven't had chemotherapy since 2016. It's real. So, there's a multitude of cognitive reactions that you can have. A sense of disbelief or a sense of just being numb, having heard the diagnosis of cancer. You may be replaying events over and over in your mind. How could I have ended up here? What choices and different things that I do to cause this? You will more than likely have issues with concentration and memory, whether it is just the overload of thoughts going through your head or from the radiation and chemotherapy and the different medications that they have you on. Those are some of the side effects. You may have difficulty making decisions or solving problems. And again, it's due to the feelings of being overwhelmed around what all you're having to deal with. And you may end up having some distressing dreams and fantasies. Just your mind can play tricks on you, either from the medications or just from the stress of it all. So let's talk about how we can address some of that medical trauma. Each person is different. Each person experiences things differently. And so, first and foremost, you have to be honest with yourself, your medical team, your family, and your friends. At the end of the day, that's all you can do is just be honest about the situation. It's going to help you in the long run. It is normal to feel things that, based on what you're going through. And you don't have to suffer in silence and you don't have to stay stuck. Talk to someone, a rehab counselor, a regular LPC type counselor, a social worker. Talk with someone and let them know what is going on, especially if you're experiencing some weird thoughts in terms of like when I was suffering from iron deficiency, I actually was like going around looking for salt packets. And, that's a pica type behavior. And I didn't know what it was, but I definitely, shared it with others. And, I didn't have to deal with that alone. And so, with talking with your medical team, definitely talk to your doctors and your nurses about what you are experiencing. Nothing is off limits, like I said, with that kind of salt fascination. You also want to be able to write down how you feel so that you can clearly describe what you felt was traumatic. You want to be able to let them know that I don't like coming here for this procedure. Is there any way that we can make this better? And then ask about ways to prepare yourself before the appointment. I know for myself, when I have to go get the rectal exam to check to see if there's any additional cancer, that's not comfortable for me. And so I've talked with my doctor to see if there's any medications or anything that I can do prior to the appointment so that way it can be a little bit more comfortable. So, preventing medical trauma, you know, asking someone to be able to go with you, tell them how you are feeling, let them offer to help you. A lot of times people genuinely do want to help, but they don't know what they can do. They don't want to invade your privacy. So, you should tell them how they can help you, allowing someone to kind of massage your shoulders if that's a tension area for you. You know, just holding your hand may be helpful. Packing a lunch with some snacks for you if you're able to eat before a procedure. Having some games or different things that, can just help you to be able to pass the time. I personally listen to podcast episodes or spiritual videos from different pastors to be able to help to keep the pass the time and then also to keep my mind focused. um, the physical preparation that you can do, like I said, taking your medications prior to an invasive procedure, getting your doctor's permission, of course, but that can help you to be able to relax your body. Making sure you drink enough water. Our bodies are made of water primarily, and so we want to be able to allow for that skin to be pliable for different invasive procedures that we may have to participate in. Eat food if you can. You never want to go anywhere kind of feeling lightheaded or your stomach growling. And then, I've gotten into the habit of stretching first thing in the morning and stretching at night. It helps to be able to keep your body loose, helps you to be able to keep your shoulders and your neck relaxed. The mental preparation that you can do prior to an appointment is, pray. Pray before your appointment. Remind yourself that you can do all things, including this, through Christ who gives you strength. Bring reading materials or, like I said, listen to podcasts. Or you may choose to just meditate or practice remaining calm prior to your appointment. So, preventing medical trauma. Is it realistic to think that medical trauma can be prevented? Well, I say the answer is yes and no. There's just some things that we are going to have to participate in order for them to get the proper diagnoses and testing to know what is going on. Yes, they're going to be uncomfortable, but we can put mind over matter. We can help ourselves through deep breathing. We can help ourselves through, like I said, eating and being well hydrated, talking to your doctor, letting them know that I don't like this, and then asking if there's other ways, other diagnostic testing that can be done that is not so invasive. And so those are just some of the ways that I personally feel like medical trauma can be prevented. So here are some tips and suggestions. Make sure you talk to your medical team. Communication is key. Ask questions. And if you don't get your answers, ask again and take someone with you so that way they can help you to remember or write things down for you. Make your request known in writing. When I have made requests for my medical team, I want to put that in writing either through an email or a handwritten note that I deliver directly to the nurse or the doctor. When I'm asking them to not rush me into make a decision, I need that in writing. When I'm asking them to explain what they are doing throughout the procedure, I need that in writing. And when I'm asking them to stop, if and when I say stop, I need that in writing so that way it's in my chart. Because sometimes people will just, try to keep going. It's like, no, these are the things that I have made known that will help me to prevent medical trauma. And then also, you want to gain clarity on the aftercare instructions so that you don't suffer in silence. A lot of times, the medical trauma comes from when the procedure or what you have gone through is trying to heal and not knowing what you can do to make that um, the flip side of that procedure go better. Being able to do a sitz bath, or to have an ointment or a cream, or to just air it out. There's things that you can do that are going to lessen the before trauma that may come from a procedure, and then the aftercare trauma that may come from a procedure. So those are just a few of the tips and tricks that I have in terms of being able to identify, address, and prevent medical trauma. And I wanted to leave you with this quote from Maya Angelou, where she talks about people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that's what this is all about. You will remember how something made you feel, and that can cause it to be considered trauma. But if you are able to prepare yourself as best you can to identify, address, and prevent it, then you can have the opportunity to have that experience be remembered in the best way possible. So that's what I have for you guys with this presentation. I hope that you enjoyed the summit. Please stick around to see if you won a prize for participating. And I look forward to bringing you more information like this and additional summits and workshops and things in the future. Thank you guys for participating. Have a great rest of your day.